Hi, Jewish Mom. This past Shabbat, we were in Tzvat with my husband's students. We go there every year, and I love it there. So this past Shabbat morning, I had a plan. My plan was that I was going to go out on a walk by myself, not really with myself, with my baby, on my own with my baby, with my sleeping baby. I was going to have a very spiritual, kind of meditative, hibodedut kind of time for myself, all alone in the morning, overlooking the beautiful scenic hills beyond Tzvat. The problem was that I couldn't convince any of my older daughters to watch their 2-year-old brother Yaakov. So I said, okay, Yaakov, I'm taking you with me. And I'll admit it was a bit disappointing. That I was going to sort of miss out on my sort of like long spiritual meditative hibodedut kind of event on my own. So it was okay. So I took Yaakov and Yonatan, like my 2-year-old and my baby, out on a walk. We walked towards the old city. And it was a bit schleppy getting around, like with a stroller with all the steps around there. But then I eventually found a really beautiful place to sit. So I sat down. I said, okay, now I'm going to daven. Okay, I'm with 2 kids and I'm with my 2-year-old, but I'm going to have a nice spiritual moment right now, just a mini kind of moment. So I start davening, and then Yaakov, he lies down on his back and he starts kicking me, like I have a white shirt. He starts kicking me with his feet, with his little sandals, whatever. So I said, whatever. I got him to stop kicking me, and I davened a little bit more, and actually it was okay. Not for so long. Maybe like I got in like maybe 4 or 5 minutes of davening, and then afterwards, so I'm sitting there, and Yaakov takes the siddur from me, and he opens it, and he says. And he has this way of davening, 2-year-old davening with like great concentration and kavana. He says, Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Then he turns a few pages and he says, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Closes his siddur, gives it a kiss, puts it into the stroller, and I said, Yaakov, you daven so nicely. What a tzaddik you are. And he turns to me and says, Ima, what a tzaddik you are. Okay, so I'm telling this story because I think we have a little bit of a screwed up perception about what spirituality is and what spirituality isn't. What makes us a tzaddik and what makes us not a tzaddik, or a tzaddikis and not a tzaddikis. I want to tell you a famous story. It's a famous story among Rabbi Niven Chabura participants. It's a story about a spirituality convention. So let's say that there's this woman, and she has decided that she's been planning to go away to a spirituality convention. She's going to meditate and do spiritual things and think about the purpose of her life and do all sorts of spiritual things. And the day before the convention, the day before she's about to leave, her very kvetchy and unpleasant mother calls her up and says, honey, please come stay with me. Come stay with me for the weekend. I don't want to be on my own. Come stay with me. So-and-so's going to be away and so-and-so's going to be away. I don't want to be on my own. Please come stay with me. So Rabbi Niven's question always is, like, what's the spiritual choice? What's the spiritual choice? Is the spiritual choice to go to the spirituality convention? To where you're going to be meditating and, contemplating the God's head, whatever that is, and, whatever. Doing all, contemplating mystical concepts? Like, or is the spiritual choice to stay home, for this woman to stay home with her kvetchy, unpleasant mother and watch the Home Shopping Network 12 hours a day? With her mother, because that's what her mother wants to do. What's a spiritual choice? So I think, Jewish Mom, I think you understand what I'm getting at, that the The spiritual choice is to stay home and watch the Home Shopping Network with her mother, with her kvetchy, unpleasant mother, and not to go to the spiritual convention. And so I'm talking about all this because Shavuot is coming up. And Shavuot, as mothers, I think most of us, of young children, we have to make a choice. We have to make a choice this Shavuot. Are we going to do like what's spiritual, or do the right thing? I think that all of us, I think many of us have this idea, like the spiritual choice on Shavuot. Like, what's a spiritual thing to do? The spiritual thing would be to go learning all night, or, for me, walking to the kotel at sunrise, or, probably for you, I don't know what you have, like maybe davening nets in your shul, or doing all these sort of spiritual things that we can do. But the thing is, I think for many, like as mothers of young children, I think what the truly spiritual option for most of us, depending on your personal situation, maybe some of you could work in these like wonderful sort of spiritual things to do. Not even spiritual things to do, right? But I think for most of us, then the truly spiritual option is doing the right thing. It's performing our mission of, as Jewish mothers of young children, which is taking care of our children. So I just wanted to tell you some two ideas based on some things that I've learned from my teachers, how to manage to be a good mother and also sort of fit in a truly spiritual Shavuot. Okay, so Rabbi Niven suggests that you should find a piece of Torah which you find the most inspirational Torah that you love. Like the most, let's say if you like Chassidus, you learn something from Chassidus. If you love learning from a certain sefer, a certain holy book, then you'll read that. If there's a certain teacher that you especially love, maybe you'll print up some notes which you took from that teacher's class. That you'll spend on Shavuot night and Shavuot evening, after everyone's going to sleep, just spend even a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, reading over the notes, reading a piece of Torah that you find really inspiring. Rabbi Yemima suggests, she says, that she forbids mothers from staying up late learning on Shavuot night. She says, because what's going to happen is you're going to become a monster. I know that would be true of me. And at times when actually I have tried this many years ago, is trying to stay up late learning, and then to also be up early with my wake up early and be with my kids early in the morning. So so she says what you're going to do. She says is you're going to read some Tehillim on Friday. Read some Tehillim on Shavuot night after dinner, and then when you start getting a bit tired, push yourself to read one more chapter of Tehillim, of Psalms, and so then call it a night. Just in conclusion, so in preparation for Shavuot. So I think a lot of us have this concept that the Jewish equivalent of the spirituality convention, that we're going to do something spiritual. We're going to do what everyone does, what everyone would think is like a spiritual way of spending Shavuot, of going to shul and for me walking to the kotel, walking to the Western Wall, or spending all night going to classes. But the thing is, it's like for us as mothers as mothers of young children, the truly spiritual thing to do, is the right thing. And the right thing for us to do is doing what we can to be the best mothers possible for our children on Shavuot. And to keep ourselves healthy and, well rested so we can be good mothers to our children. So Rabbi Niven suggests, within that framework, try and do a little bit of learning, even 5 or 10 minutes of learning of something that you love, some sort of kind of Torah which you love learning. Or Rabbi Yemima says reading one more parak of Tehillim, then you to push yourself a little bit more, but then really getting to sleep at a very reasonable hour, basically getting to sleep at your regular time. So with all that said, I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with a really, really spiritual Shavuot in which we do the right thing. I want to bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week and a Chag Sameach Kol Tov.